Hey, everybody. Welcome into the bonus episode. Thank you guys again for being so patient with me. I am Dustin, your friendly sommelier. Just want to thank you guys again for being patient during me going down with the old COVID, the corona. She finally got me. But wanted to bring that bonus episode like we talked about, like I promised. So basically what I'm going to do here is break down some of those monthly wines that we've been getting into, and may expand a little bit on also what I've been drinking as a part of my studies for the sommelier exam. Talk about some of them and what's been tasty and some of the fun parts of that. So we'll just jump in. It's going to be a lot of wine, a lot of different wines. So hopefully you have your glass. Not if you're driving or anything, if you're listening to this while you drive. Be cool, obey the rules. But it is evening after I've gotten off work. So I am relaxing a little bit with a little Brunello di Montalcino. 2018 Casalino. Very nice Brunello here. Anyways, jumping into our first wine. Fun one. It's from Ercole. The first five we're going to talk about are going to be all Italian wines. So it's from Ercole. Ercole is a co-op coming out of the Piedmont area of Italy. So northern Italy. This co-op is used for consistency's sake. We'll talk about another co-op here in a bit. But basically what is going on, Petnat is French abbreviation of a French term, Pétillant Naturel, which roughly translates to natural sparkling. This is also called the ancient method. So this is a sparkling. It's got a very electric pink kind of color, 60% Chardonnay, 40% Pinot Noir. And why it's called natural sparkling is before they really understood fermentation, this is how we got sparklings. So modern sparklings go through multiple fermentation processes. First, second fermentation, we can add sugar, we can add juice, we can do whatever we want to get the desired result, whether it be dry or sweet or whatever that the winemaker is going for. In the ancient method, it was you get what you get and you don't throw a fit. That kind of a mentality. So they would take the grapes, press them, get the juice, throw it in a bottle, put a lid on it, and cross their fingers. So it is literally bottle to bottle. Or the ancient way was bottle to bottle with the grapes. And so every bottle had a different flavor profile, different levels of sugar, dryness, alcohol, bubbles. It was all unique. So it really is a natural form. You can't go in and add any kind of yeast. It is, like I said, whatever you put in is what you're getting out. So Ercole being a co-op, now they press the grapes in larger batches to make it more consistent before they throw it in the bottle, but they're still doing a nod to that ancient method where they are just throwing the juice into the bottle, putting a lid on it, and seeing what comes out. Again, more consistency today. We have probes that we can put into grapes and say this bin and that bin are very similar, so they'll come out producing this kind of a wine. So they have some ideas, but you could still get some variety, especially in a smaller winery that makes a Petnat. You could get some big swings in flavors, but it's really neat to see Petnat kind of coming back around. It is a fun wine. It's a nod to our ancestors and how they did it. So it's really neat to be able to try this wine. If you see it around, Ercole, very popular brand, Piedmont guy. It's easy to get a hold of. So check it out. Fun color, fun story. People love it. All right, our next wine, Laria Gave. So Gave is a town in northern Piedmont, but it is not the grape. This is, even though it's an Italian wine, is taking a nod from the French here, and they're named it after the town versus naming it after the grape. The grape here is Cortese. So this is really great drinking white wine. It's a little fuller body. I love this wine with seafood. Now you get into some of these lemongrassy, grapefruity kind of flavors into it, and then it also adds these honey notes, these apple notes, these almondy, nutty notes that really hit home seafood with me. I think like pecan encrusted trout or a salmon, something like that, with this wine. But a really great white. What I love about this is if you can find it, Gave on a wine list is going to be super approachable. It does not have that huge cult following like a lot of whites can have, like a Chardonnay. So to find it on a wine list really is one that is easy on the wallet but full of flavor. Again, very full body, almost matches. Like if I was to let this come up closer to room temperature, I think it's a great white to get a red lover started on a white. Next wine we have is called Trège from Grasso. Now, this is a unique take on red. It's our last Piedmont wine that we're going to talk about for right now. Trège is a nod to the big three coming out of Piedmont. So 70% Nebbiolo, 15 Barbera, 15 Dolcetto. What makes this unique is the aging needs between some of these grapes. Barbera has no tannins to speak of, so as soon as it's bottled, it's ready to be drank. Nebbiolo, on the other hand, it needs about 5 years of aging for it to kind of calm down. So you're on extreme ends of the spectrum here. Dolcetto kind of sits in the middle. It's interesting in this particular adaptation of this wine is the Dolcetto is the only one that's oak aged. The rest is stainless steel. So it kind of builds the bridge here, but you get the bright red fruits, the acidity of the Barbera, you get the rose petals of the Nebbiolo, those tannins coming out, and then that oak aging on that Dolcetto really kind of allows there to be a bridge built between all three of them. I've seen some of these like triple blends coming out of Piedmont get funky. This one is super well balanced. So Trège from Grasso, if you ever get a chance, wonderful wine, check it out. Next wine. We're leaving Piedmont now. We're heading to Alto Adige, an area in Italy up on the northeast side, sitting right up against the Alps, up on the Dolomite Mountains. Now, talked about we were going to visit another co-op. Here is that other co-op. This co-op, though, is more for economic advantage for this area. They're planting these vines on the side of the Alps. Makes it very difficult to farm. Plus, it's all these little kind of plots spread all over the place. Makes it very difficult as a single farmer to do anything of significant size to be competitive, to be able to make any kind of a living off of. So 1960, this co-op came together, started with 26 wine growers that came together. Today sits over 300 families working together. So Colturazzino is a very large co-op. I think it's interesting. When they started, Louis Raffier was kind of like the founder of it, and went over to California in 1979. So I don't know if he got a hold of the Judgment of Paris from 76 and thought, oh, maybe I need to see what's going on in California. But went over there and brought back a lot of ideas to this co-op and have continued to meet and exceed just standards all the way around. Now they're using an interesting grape here called Lagrine. Lagrine is a unique grape. Less than 1,000 acres of it exist in the world. Most of it is in Alto Adige. It has a very, very long, dry finish. Alto Adige is known for cured meats. This wine is perfect for like speck, any kind of like charcuterie meat. You know, that oily kind of film that you get stuck to the roof of your mouth after you eat 3 or 4 or 5 pieces of charcuterie, and you just kind of can't get it to go away. This wine is the perfect antidote. And Lagrein is a very dark grape. So it's this huge, big, dark juice, dry, long finish, but has these great little bright notes that jump out of the glass and on into the nose, like violet flowers. You get violet flowers all over this. It's a really unique wine. So if you ever get to try Lagrein, please make sure you say yes, please. Our next stop out of Tuscany, Italy, as we kind of head down the countryside, is from Tua Rita. Now, Tua Rita is a really unique winery. Started in 1984. A couple got to realize their lifelong dream and purchased a piece of property that became their winery. Now, they started with about 2 hectares, which is about 4 football fields if you need a visual. And they began meticulously cultivating this area. They were super passionate and kept producing just extreme high quality wines that were getting recognized all over the place. Nowadays, they have more than 30 hectares under their label producing grapes. They have become known as a high-end producer, and some of theirs can fetch very high dollars, $200, $300, $400 or more. Red Agave is like their flagship product. If you ever get to try it, please do. It has some unique labeling systems, but it was at some points being counterfeited. So they have a unique foil on the top of the label that has like this kind of braille system that you can scan with your phone to make sure you're getting an authentic Red Agave from Tua Rita. This Tua Rita, a little more approachable Rosso di Notri. This is a Super Tuscan, 30% Sangiovese, 30% Cab Sauv, 20 Syrah, 20 Merlot. Now, again, all of this is stainless steel except for one, like that earlier blend, the Merlot. The Merlot is in oak, where the rest is in stainless steel. So you get a unique blend here. But great flavors, very fantastic. Super Tuscan. Tua Rita puts out just high quality wines. The winery has been passed down to their daughter and son-in-law. The original founder has passed on, but before doing so, he really wanted to honor his wife, so he named the winery Tua Rita. His wife's name was Rita Tua, so flipped her name around, named the winery after his wife, which I think is just a fantastic kind of little nod. Any gentlemen out there, you now know where the bar is. Ladies, if you want to share this with your significant others so they can catch the hint of what you would like for your next anniversary, a winery, nothing too big, nothing out of the ordinary. So those are the 5 months, 5 wines that we were featuring last month in our wine club. Now, when you get into testing for sommeliers, specifically Court of Masters, there's multiple levels, but you get into the first test, and they give you a selection of about 20 or 30 wine types that you can start with. So when you go into the test, then you'll have to recognize a certain amount of these. So we'll just talk about reds. You could be tested on Cabernet Franc, Cabernet Sauvignon, Gamay, Grenache, Malbec, Merlot, Nebbiolo, Pinot Noir, Sangiovese, Syrah, or Tempranillo, and Zinfandel. So when you get into those, they're really trying to get you to recognize areas of the world. And I think it's a great way to start doing that. So, for example, not a whole lot of different grapes, especially for how many different varietals are out there. However, like take Pinot Noir, for example. You could be tested on a Pinot Noir, but you could be tested on a Côte d'Or French style Pinot Noir. You could be tested on a Napa Valley, a Sonoma County, or Willamette Valley out of Oregon. So even in that one type of grape, there's 3 areas, like the 3 big worldwide recognized areas for that grape. Sangiovese. You need to be able to identify Brunello from Chianti, Syrah, a French Syrah from an Australian Shiraz. So it gets really interesting when you get into some of the tastings and really making sure that you're well rounded on your palate to recognize all these different flavors. So for me personally, some of the wines that I've been having recently, I had a Davy Estate Shiraz 2021. It's a great wine, very bright, very jammy. I rated this one a 3.6 out of 5. It is pretty big, pretty bold, a little bit of tannins, but not over the top. Not over the top. With some good dryness there. I think it's a great testing wine. You do get a little bit of that gamey kind of blood notes that you can sometimes get in Shiraz. I also had from Grigich Hills, talked about the Judgment of Paris earlier. Grigich Hills was started by Mike Grigich, who was one of the original winemakers that presented a wine in the Judgment of Paris and now has created this winery. So from then, I had a 2017 Zinfandel, quintessential textbook Zin, fantastic flavors. You can get this at a great price. Doesn't go over the top, but a really great example of a Zinfandel. I had a fun Pinot Noir from the Côte de Beaune, Chevalier de la Cre Knights Templar Cuvée. Was a winery started by a Knights Templar in the 12th century and has continued on. I think there's kind of like some play into that story, like how much was he a Knight Templar? Because during that time, like they really kind of went after him. So I think it maybe is a rebirth or reimagining of it, but I'm sure there's still some connection there. This, you really got to taste the terroir of France, out of the bone. Super balanced, the earth coming through on it. I loved it. I actually gave that one a perfect 5. I was a big fan of it. That Zinfandel from Greenwich Hills, I gave that a 4.1. So really enjoyed that. Another wine that we had recently, we had a Nebbiolo. Now, when you get into the Nebbiolos, that is one where you need to be able to identify a couple different types of Nebbiolo, Barolo and Barbaresco. So Barolo has always been called like the king of wines, Barbaresco, the queen. It's a little softer. So we had a Barolo, 2018 Barolo from Rocca Feliz. Really good example. Doesn't go over the top. Kind of stays in the traditional flavors of Barolo. Still a big hitting, very tannicky wine, but got a great balance of the body. When you get into like a Nebbiolo, there's certain wines that just have tells. So like when I see certain wines in a glass, if I'm in a blind, I just automatically know because there's only certain grapes can do that. Nebbiolo is one of those. So I did a blind with a group, and before I even tried it, I instantly called it. I said, "That's Nebbiolo, right there." It gets this kind of orangish, brickish color to it. Check out our Nebbiolo episode if you want to get a little more in-depth explanation on what Nebbiolo really is. But the other unique thing that you get outside of the color with Nebbiolo is you start to get some balsamic kind of notes in it. And this one is a really good example of seeing those balsamic notes. Now, I was drinking that Barolo next to a Chianti I had, next to the Brunello I had, because those three grapes, now granted the Nebbiolo has a couple tells, all have very similar body weights, and so that's where you could kind of get stuck. You got to learn those little nuances. So for me, how I've been learning wines is I take about half the bottle, and I drink it just as it is. So I pour it out, I enjoy it, I try to get the flavors. I either like watch a YouTube video of someone speaking about that area or that grape. I read a little book. Wine Folly has a fantastic book where when you get into the individual grapes, like, oh, you'll get this kind of body weight and you'll get these kind of notes and they'll pair with this kind of food. So I start to associate the flavors that I'm tasting with all these other things that I'm reading or taking in through YouTube or a video or whatever it may be, and really kind of hammers home like, oh, this is Sangiovese, instead of just trying to make it up on my own. I'm not just grabbing the wine and drinking it and going, I think I taste this. I'm going through with experts and making sure, like, oh, this is what a Sangiovese will taste like. And, oh, yeah, I do see that. Oh, maybe I don't see that as much. I'm kind of getting this. And then seeing if I can connect the dots. After that, I save that second half of the bottle and get to do some blinds with friends and other somms or people that are just interested in wine, and they help me out. They're pouring them. I've got blindfolds on. They got bags over the labels, whatever we need to do, and then going through. But that really hits home for me to not really nail down some of the flavors as I'm going through to really make sure I know my wines as best as possible. So fun way for me to do it. It works really well. I'm interested what you guys do to learn your wines. Is there anything that you do that you're like, this is what really works for me? So I'd love to hear that from you guys. I hope you enjoyed this kind of extra bonus episode, getting to see kind of some of the things I'm drinking, what we have featured in our wine club. And I just hope you guys are enjoying all the content that we're putting out. Thank you so much for your support. It means the world to me. Make sure you guys are following me on social media, Instagram and Twitter. It's the Duck Vine. But tell all your friends about us. Tweet at me. Let me know what you're drinking. Send me pictures of bottles. I love talking about what you guys are trying and hearing what you're experiencing through those. If you're looking for recommendations or looking for more wines to try, reach out. I'd love to give suggestions as well. But just want to thank you guys all for giving your time and support to us, and continuing to do so. It means so much to everyone that's involved with this process. So thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you had some fun. Maybe you learned something. But most importantly, we drank some wine. Cheers and have a great night.